thank you for being here.
Yeah,
It's really
thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really fun to be able to kind of connect and chat with you today. So let's just jump in and have you kind of introduce yourself. Well, first I'll just say that Brenna and I have been working together for a while.
Yes.
And so we want to kind of go back and look at like kind of where you started and how you're doing today and just kind of your experience in working with me and being a part of the Think Eat Win program. So first of all, just give us a little brief intro, like tell us, who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about you.
Okay. I'm Brenna. I'm from Kansas City. I've lived here since I was about 12, moved around a little bit when I was younger, but I'm a wealth manager that works with very high net worth clients. So working full-time outside of the house. And then I have 2 kids for whom I'm essentially a single mom. My daughter started her freshman year in college this year. And then my son is a sophomore in high school.
Okay. So a lot of busyness going on in your life, a lot of like stress sometimes, and a lot of things that you're responsible for. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, let's just jump in. Like, tell me, like, what was the hardest thing, or what did you struggle with the most, like, before you found me and jumped into the Think Eat Win program?
Yeah, so I did have to think about that a little bit because it has been a while. But what really kind of pushed me to look for something different was, I don't know if it was COVID or maybe even post-COVID, trying to get back to normal. I was managing my stress-related feelings primarily by eating to soothe myself. And I would find myself swinging from, I need to get this under control and I'm only going to eat, these 3 food groups and I can never, alter from that, to I'm actually just going to eat whatever I want. I had read a little bit about intuitive eating. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe if I just allow myself to do whatever I want to do, then these cravings will go away and they'll get back under control. But I either never let that really work, or I think to really practice intuitive eating, you probably have to not have some other factors in your life maybe impacting that. And so I was just constantly swinging back and forth to super strict, to not caring at all. And especially with that kind of, ping pong approach, I think it really put me in a place where it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. It was snowballing. The only way I knew how to cope with stress was to eat, and my weight kept going up. So then that was making me more stressed. So then I would eat some more, but then I would try to be really strict. And so it became this vicious cycle that really snowballed. I feel like it felt like I gained 20 pounds overnight. I know it probably wasn't quite that bad, but it really wasn't. It was pretty quick. So it was a tough time of my life to go through to see those changes happen.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like you're kind of on that treadmill or that hamster wheel.
Yes.
Just like trying things and then failing. And plus, like, among all of that, you're also trying to raise teenagers.
Yes.
And like, be a high achiever at your job.
Right.
And keep all the balls in the air. And
exactly.
So like, how did this really show up in your life? Like, these extra pounds are coming on, you're coping with life through eating. Like, how else was this affecting you?
Yeah, the self-talk that I had was just full of shoulds and why can't I? And it was just extremely critical and negative, to the point where I remember we were leaving on spring break, and just because of time or whatever, I hadn't gotten a pedicure. And in my brain, I had failed. Like, I was going to go on the spring break trip and my toenails looked bad. And that was such like a personal failing for me. And I had enough wherewithal to be like, okay, they're just toes. Like, you could probably slap some polish on them right now. But my brain was just taking what should have been very minor things and making them huge. And I could never just get out of this, like, there was something wrong with me, that I hadn't planned enough in time to get the pedicure, and so even very minor things, or things that, is that really necessary? No. It just, everything became a chore. And when everything is a chore, then everything feels really hard. And so it was hard not to spiral and take things that were fairly minor and make them much, much bigger than they needed to be. And I think the emotional eating and the inability to emotionally support myself definitely played into that.
Yeah. So it sounds like your like self-image and kind of your emotional balance was very fragile.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, I think, such a relatable place to be, especially with just the reality of our world and our lives. Like a lot of people can really, really relate to that, where it's I just got to get through today.
Right.
And any little thing is just more evidence that I'm totally failing at all of this.
Exactly.
And then, we're just not in a good place emotionally and mentally. And so we aren't showing up for ourselves. So, okay. So that's kind of where you were, really not a great place, not feeling great.
Yes.
How did you find me and make the decision to go ahead and jump into the program that I offer?
Yeah. So the Instagram gods led me to you somehow. I'm not sure exactly how that worked, but I started following you on Instagram. I would watch your stories or read your posts, and it just really resonated with me, because it wasn't one of those things where it's like, ladies, in 30 days, get your body back. It was very different to me than some of the other kind of, you could call it related content, but other content on Instagram related to weight loss or getting healthier, or just whatever that part of the algorithm is. To me, what resonated with me was the language around your thoughts, and that you can change things. And it felt more empowering and less like, I'm going to sell you this 30-day program and change your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there aren't, I hear that all the time from women. And the truth is, there aren't a lot of other programs out there.
Right.
I'm not trying to just, I'm not a gimmick. It's let's actually help you heal your life and figure out what's in your specific way, instead of just cookie cutter, same old thing,
Yeah. Everyone's eating the same thing for breakfast, and you're starving and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. So you went through my program,
mm-hmm.
and we've continued to work together. Right now we're checking in about monthly, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so through that time, you've lost 25 pounds. And
yes.
Tell me how that part felt, kind of going through it, getting focused, getting onto the structure of the program, getting focused with your eating. How did that part feel going through it?
Yes. So it'd be great if I could say I was able to kind of, I don't like to use the word fix, but get to the right mindset right from the beginning. But it was quite a bit of up and down there for a little bit. I think it took a little bit of time for things to click. But what really ended up working, I think the best for me, was, I feel like every time we would have a call together, I'd be like, Betsy, I'm going to do this super elaborate thing. And you're like, well, maybe you should think about that. And so my need to control what I thought what the problem was, which was always outside circumstances, we spent a lot of time talking about those things. And I think the realization of, I'm always wanting to overact to solve problems. And really, I needed to take a step back and focus on, well, one, are they really problems? What are we trying to fix? Is this elaborate schedule that you just told me you're going to do really going to be the thing? Or, are you not accepting reality? And would we be healthier if we took a step back, thought about what was realistic, and didn't approach everything as an emergency or a problem that just needed to be fixed overnight? And so learning a little patience, learning a little bit of accepting reality. Those are the key things that I think really tipped me over into getting to the point where I started losing weight and losing weight consistently rather than, what I'd done before and didn't work, but I kept trying, which is changing my whole life every Monday or something along those lines.
Right. And that's so key. Like the way that you had been doing things all along, like we just kind of naturally keep doing that.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, yeah, working together, we were able to actually shift you over time to, okay, actually that approach to changing everything every Monday, like that's not going to get me there. It needs to be more internal work.
Right.
And that can sometimes be kind of scary to do. And not even, we don't even know how to do it on our own. So,
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So that's amazing. So yeah, but we've now been working together for, like I said, like almost 2 years, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been holding steady at this 25-pound weight loss. And so This is crazy. So Brenna just told me this before we started the recording. But one of the things that she mentioned the very first time that we met was, I want to wear, like, I cannot wear pencil skirts. I love to wear a pencil skirt, but I can't do it. I feel too self-conscious. It just doesn't feel right on me. I don't feel comfortable in my body. Tell me what you wore to work today.
I wore a pencil skirt without even realizing the timing of our call until we started talking today. So
how does that feel to know that, like, not only are you wearing the things that you were dreaming of but couldn't wear, but like it's not even a big deal anymore? Like,
yeah, I mean, it is. I am not the greatest at taking time to acknowledge things like that. So it really, I don't know, the universe was wanting me to really take a moment to just recognize that you did set a goal and you reached it. I think with women in particular, and maybe the type A personality in particular as well, it really is just always like, well, what's the next thing? And so I think to the extent that we can take time and just recognize, when we do set goals and we reach them and we celebrate them in some form or fashion, it's just not what we're taught to do. We're really just taught to keep looking for the next thing. And so it was a really good moment for me to realize that, yeah, I had set that as a goal, and now it just kind of is what it is. I can wear a pencil skirt whenever I want now.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I love your ability is getting so good at like slowing yourself down and celebrating those small moments, because that's what fuels us to keep going. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So tell me about like kind of just sustaining, because you've sustained this weight loss for a while now.
Right.
Like, tell me how that feels. Is it really hard, or does it feel a little more natural and automatic?
It definitely feels more natural and automatic. I still struggle every once in a while, if I have a day where, maybe I eat more than I intended, or I go through a period of time where like, if I travel and I have to eat airport food or whatever the case is going to be, like there is still a little bit of underlying anxiety. So it's not as though my whole personality changed. It's still there, but it's easier to rationalize with myself in the sense of I can talk to myself. I can say, well, this is just a short-term thing. You're doing the best that you can given whatever it is that I think is not going to work out, and for me, it's been a lot of releasing the worry, releasing the idea that I won't be able to keep it up. Because those thoughts still come up. I don't know about other people, but I think I was 10 the first time I thought, oh, I need to lose weight because my body was changing. And so when you think about 30 plus years of that dialogue in your head, even when you feel really good about things, it's not going to completely go away. I mean, that would be a nice goal to have, but even though we've been working together 2 years, that doesn't compare to 30. And so just recognizing that I am still going to have those thoughts, and I always have a choice as to whether I want to listen to them or not, and sometimes maybe they do have a a kernel of truth. Maybe I'm not feeling as physically good in my body as I could be because I haven't been fueling it the way that I know works better. But that's just data. I can just take it and I can adjust and I can do what I can, but it doesn't have to turn into a disaster like it used to.
Right. With just like this weeks and weeks of overeating and just digging yourself deeper.
Yeah, like I've ruined everything, so why try? It's much more of a, okay, well, it's been one day, you're probably going to be fine. And if you change something tomorrow, you can, or you can change it right now. And so it's a little bit more of a shoulder shrug and a, head nod or head bob or whatever than a pit of despair type moment.
Yeah, that's so cool. Would you have been able to like really adopt that mindset if you without our work together, without kind of, jumping and plugging into the Think Eat Win program?
No, I mean, I think that I don't remember the exact timing, but I probably hit my goal 6 months ago ish. And I could have at that point said, well, I did it and I don't need the support anymore. And I chose to continue to work with you because to me, it is, I do recognize like how long it's been, how long that, neural pathway has been in my brain. And I want the continuing support. So even having reached the goal, I recognize how important the support is. And so I honestly don't think that I could have gotten to where I am without the support in the program.
Awesome. Well, good. Well, you've done awesome with it. So do you think it was, because you have to invest a lot in yourself to make these kinds of changes and make them deeply so that you're not just hanging on with your fingernails and then you lose it later. Like you had to invest not just emotionally, but financially. So like, was it worth it? Like all this time and effort that you've put into this and the investment in yourself, has it been worth it to you?
Yes. And it's not about the pencil skirt, right? Like that's a great side effect of everything. But it's more about, sometimes I don't think you realize how hard something is until you have relief from it. And so getting the relief from just the thoughts in my head has been, not to borrow from the commercial, but you really can't put a price on that. And it has had more important impacts on other things, meaning I can go out with my friends and not be worried about things. I can, I just have a confidence in myself that I didn't have before. And so even though the tangible result that we can measure is the fact that I'm wearing a pencil skirt and that I hit my weight goal, I think the more lasting impacts are just the capacity to deal with those thoughts and kind of talk back to myself. And it's really had an impact on every other area of my life in a positive way.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah. And that doesn't come without really investing the effort and time into yourself. So
right. Yeah. Like, I mean, we could go back to like the Fin or whatever of the 80s and the Slim for Life and all that great stuff. Like there's a lot of different ways you can lose weight, but to me, those are, you get the pounds off, right? But that's the only impact. And that's why a lot of those programs, I think, only work temporarily versus your program is much more about how do we create lasting change that is going to allow you to kind of reframe how you think about food and weight and your body and all those good things, but that also then have an impact on other areas of your life too.
Yeah. Well, it's like you were talking about releasing.
Mm-hmm.
We focus on, we want to release weight, but the truth is you got to release the worry, the anxiety, the effort eating, the, all of the things that are actually, like deeper and not so surface level. So yeah, that's amazing. Okay. So what would you say to someone who is like watching my content and they're like, oh my gosh, this really resonates with me. But I'm just gonna, keep trying to do this on my own? Like, what would you say to someone who's kind of on the fence about reaching out to me and maybe jumping in?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't hesitate to reach out simply because the impact is going to be so much greater than just weight loss. And when I think about other positive things that I've been able to put into my life, so much of that you can't measure like you can weight, but the the payoff relative to the financial investment, relative to the time investment is so great that I think that anybody that tries the program is going to see positive impacts almost from day one. And whether it's immediate weight loss or not, I mean, I fully admitted it took me a while to get there, but once it started, it just was like felt effortless. And it was because of all the time that I put into it in advance. And so it's, as a society, we're not really encouraged as women to invest in ourselves, but the impacts that I've felt from making that investment in myself have just been, you just can't measure them. And so it's definitely worth it. I think anybody can benefit from learning all of the different strategies that you have because they apply to things beyond eating. If we talk about just feeling your feelings, well, that has a lot of positive impacts. And there were other, very important strategies that you gave us that can apply with parenting, like pausing before you respond to a child is almost always a positive thing. And so, a lot of these things, we just don't get those lessons from general schooling or in our lives. Like you really just have to be, I feel so fortunate to have somehow, again, God bless the internet gods, but Instagram gods, but like, it's just, I feel very fortunate that this type of program, kind of fell on my feet and I was able to join and make the best of it.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I think you found it at the right time for you.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm so glad we got to take this time to kind of, focus on and celebrate your success over the past couple of years. And so I, congratulate you.
Well,
And
thank you.
yeah, you bet. So before we wrap up, anything else that you want to say to maybe anyone watching or anything about anything we've talked about today?
Well, I think to me, it's so life-changing that I wish there truly was a way for everybody to have this ability to participate in your program and learn the skills that I've learned. I find myself trying to teach them to other people, not the whole thing, of course, but just like little tidbits, even with my kids of like, you've been thinking that thought for a long time. Maybe it's just easy to think that, or even, I found myself asking my daughter, well, if your friend so-and-so was in this situation, what would you tell that person? And can you talk to yourself like that? And so it's great to lose the weight. It's great to see the impact on myself, but even being able to take small tidbits and use them in parenting or even, coaching my employees at work, it has like exponential impacts, positive impacts on my life.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Brenna. Awesome. I appreciate you sharing your experience, and you're an amazing example of what's possible when you're willing, even if you're super busy, even if you have a lot on your plate. Like taking the time to focus on you is just going to allow you to show up better in all of those roles. And you're an amazing example of that. So thank you so much
thank you. I appreciate you.
Today. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll take it from there. And thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you
for watching, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.